everyone, my name is McKenna and I'm an artist here at Artists Working in Education. This year will be my third summer working for the Marcus Kids Days program. Have I met any of you at Marcus Kids Days in the past? If I have, then welcome back, and if I haven't, then we're really glad that you can join us for some art making this summer. I'm glad that we still have the opportunity to do these lessons virtually this year. We're going to do 6 projects together over the next 6 weeks, so stay tuned for a new video every week. Our projects are going to focus on the 6 elements of art. If you haven't heard of the 6 elements of art before, then we're just going to all learn them together. The elements of art are the essential building blocks used by artists. Whether you are drawing, painting, or building something 3D like a sculpture, you're going to be using the 6 elements of art. These elements are line, which will be our first lesson, shape, color and value, form, texture, and space. Some of these might be new words and some of them might be words that you're familiar with, but we're going to go over what all of them mean, and they're going to be accompanied by a few different projects. So if you love making art and getting creative, then you're in the right place. We're going to start by learning a few projects that involve line today. So just right off the top of your head, what do you think of when you hear the word line? So lines are important in artwork because they show us where different objects in space begin and where they end. Lines can be thick, thin, straight, curvy, long, short. We can usually tell lines apart from shapes because they are longer than they are wide. If you look here, this might be a half a centimeter or a centimeter thick, but it's a lot longer than it is wide. We're going to take a look at this How to Draw Funny People book. When you look at introductions to drawing, the first step is usually to draw a shape or a line. They start out very simply. You just got a simple line there, shape made up of a few lines. It's part of why lines are considered one of the building blocks for your drawing. In this one, start with 2 lines, and then you just kind of add lines until you get your finished product. Try to find 3 different lines around your house, or maybe outside if you're working outside, and study what kind of lines they are. Note if they're straight, if they're curvy, wavy, and then as you go along, you can draw them in your notebook. One of the lines that I see right away is up here on the ceiling. I'm going to trace it with my finger so it goes out to the right and then down. I see another interesting line on the arm of this chair. It's not quite straight, but it's also not wavy either. It starts here and goes down to here. Looking at furniture is a good way to find more organic lines that maybe aren't exactly straight, curvy, or fit into a specific category. Looking to the ceiling again, I see a cool line on the edge of this fan. Can't quite reach it to touch it, but I can tell that it curves, comes more to a point, and then curves again. Here are 3 drawings of the 3 different lines I saw. I'm curious to see what lines that you found in your house. After that first warm-up, you might be getting ready to start drawing. So our next activity is that we're going to do 9 different lines. All you need is a piece of paper or a sketchbook and a pencil. The first thing you want to do is draw a grid on your sheet, so break it up into 9 different parts. This is a warm-up just to kind of get our creative juices flowing, so no worries if your lines aren't perfectly straight. Doesn't have to be perfect, but if you really like straight lines, you can also use a ruler. This is what it looks like on my paper. Now I'm going to challenge you to make 9 different lines in the boxes. So I'm going to start by making a diagonal line, a wavy line. If you're stuck, think of something that you see in nature a lot. I'm thinking about grass, So I'm going to make a really spiky line. You can also think about what your favorite food is. Maybe that has a line. I like macaroni noodles, kind of shaped like that, right? I also love when there's a sunny day, which makes me think about spikes and sunlight again. I'm not completing these lines because then they might turn into shapes. I'm just trying to think about outlines. Another word you can use for an outline is called a contour. If I was going to do the contour of someone's face, I might do a forehead, nose, mouth, chin. Another curly line just kind of flows out. So, if you've got 9 lines on your paper, you can take it even further and make patterns out of your lines. A lot of the patterns that we see all around us are probably made out of lines. I'm going to add some more diagonals here. Maybe go in some different directions. You can also do different lengths. I find that filling in space on paper is just a calming activity to do, so take as long as you'd want to do this project. If you want to take a few hours to do it, take all the time that you need. You can also go in with different colors, you don't have to just use your pencil. I hope this grid was a fun activity to help you realize how many lines you do see in your everyday life, and to kind of open up what the possibilities are for different kinds of lines you can put in your artwork. Artists learn from lots of practice and also looking at famous works by other artists. Each week we're going to look at a famous artist who uses one of the elements of art. This week we're going to look at Henri Matisse's work. He is a French painter and he was born in 1869. He was most well known for his paintings, but he also worked as a printmaker and a sculptor. He was part of the Expressionist movement, which means that his work was meant to evoke moods or feelings or ideas from its viewer. We are going to study his line paintings. What do you see when you look at the 2 paintings? Is it easy to identify what his subject is? And do you think he is giving us a lot or a little bit of visual information? With only a few lines, we are able to identify the subject of these pieces. In the article Matisse, Essence of Line, the writer Marco Finch says that these paintings are a testament to Matisse's long-standing fascination with the very act of drawing, stripped back to its purest form. For our final project today, we are going to need scissors, paper, can be construction paper or regular paper. You should always have a handy pencil around, popsicle sticks, some string or yarn, it can be any color. Glue, I like to use tacky glue, but you can also use any other liquid glue. And some pipe cleaners. I would say for the exercise, the pipe cleaners are the most important, so if you're able to get your hands on some of these, that's awesome. We are going to take a 3D approach to line drawing. For the last 2 activities, we've been working with 2-dimensional art. We only used a pencil and paper. This time, we're going to make something that's 3-dimensional. Use pipe cleaners to create an image using only lines. It can be inspired by Matisse's line drawings. You can work on a flat surface and arrange your pipe cleaners and make any subject that you would like. It could be a portrait, it could be an animal, a flower, a tree, or anything else you are interested in. As an example, I'm going to try to make an eye with this blue pipe cleaner. Pipe cleaners are a pretty forgiving medium, which means that if you bend them a certain way and you don't like how they turned out, you can also just do it again. Maybe next I'll make a nose. And this looks too long if I want to make it proportional with my eye. So you can also use scissors and cut it down. Everyone's features are different, right? So if you'd like, you can look at someone in your household and you can also try to make them if you're doing a portrait. It's missing the outline of a face. So I'm gonna do that with this green piece here. If you don't have pipe cleaners and you would like to do this activity with paper, that's completely acceptable too. It's all about trying to take a minimalist approach, which means using a few lines. Instead of making something that is highly detailed and rendered and might take us a long time, we're just kind of experimenting with this building block for an art project. So this is kind of like a cheek, right? Maybe I can make an ear as well so it looks a little bit more like a face. Here's another example where the pipe cleaner is a little bit longer than I need it. Make sure you save your scraps because you might want to use those later on in your project. It's nice to do this project on a flat surface, or you can even put it on top of a piece of paper because then you can lay everything out and move it around, opposed to a drawing where you want to adjust it, you might have to erase and redraw. This is a fun way to take an approach to a line drawing. What do you think's missing? I think, well, it needs another eye, and maybe some eyebrows too, maybe some hair. So I'm gonna cut this in half and make 2 eyebrows. In addition to a mouth, eyebrows are another way that we can show motion. Maybe that eyebrow is happy, and then this one is a little bit mad. So I added another eye, add another cheek. I even think that these eyebrows can be trimmed down a little bit. To show you 2 alternative art projects that I made. The first is a butterfly and the second is another face but with a profile view. When you're happy with the way that your pipe cleaner art looks, you can either glue it down onto a piece of paper or you can create a mobile sculpture. I'll show you how to do both. So once you have your shape lined up, you can also put it down on a piece of paper with some glue. When you use glue, try to make an even line and don't get too much glue on your pipe cleaner because it might get a little bit messy. Just do the best you can. You can see here, mine is even a little bit longer than the paper, so it's going to stick up and be kind of three-dimensional of the paper. If it's popping up a bit, you can also hold it down. The next thing you can do with your finished project is make a mobile. If you've ever seen something hanging above a baby's crib with things hanging down, that was probably a mobile. They're also used by a lot of sculpture artists. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is cross an X with these 2 popsicle sticks. You can also tie them together with string, or if you want, you can glue them together and just wait a few minutes with your fingers pressing down. It's getting pretty secure, but I'm just gonna let it dry while I start the next part of the project. I made that one face with this piece of pipe cleaner, and what I'm going to do is tie string to every part of the project and have it hang down from the mobile. So it's kind of going to look different from different angles and as it's swinging around. Cut off a pretty long piece of string because you're going to be tying it to the popsicle stick and you're going to be tying it to the pipe cleaner. But if it's too long, you can always cut off a bit. So for this part, I'm going to make a double knot. And don't hesitate to ask an adult for help if you have some trouble with the knots, because sometimes it's hard to tie little tiny knots. Okay. So now this piece is hanging off of the string. You can also cut off the little bit of extra that you might have if you don't want to see that on your project. And it hangs down pretty long. Now I'm going to cut off some for my other pieces. And you can think about the placement of each piece. So if I want the eyeball to hover around here, I don't need a super long piece of string. So I might end up having to trim it down a little bit. But for now, this is my string. And with your project, you can do as many or as little pieces as you'd like. I've got every piece of my mobile is hanging off of a string at this point. I'm going to start with this large piece. So, if I want it to be long, I can use a longer piece of string. I think I want it to hover at around here. So you can make a few twists around your popsicle sticks and then give it a knot. The eyeball is going to hover up here. It's going to kind of be part of the forehead. Or else I can make it a little bit lower and put it near the nose. You can also change the placement on your popsicle sticks to adjust to where it lies. I like them to be pretty even, so I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so there you have it. Here is the face that I made on a mobile. So we've got the 2 ways that you could have done your project. After you lay out all your popsicle sticks and made your composition, you can hang it up like this, or you could have glued it to a paper like this. So these are 2 different interpretations of a line drawing. We use some other skills that we have with sculpting and bending these pipe cleaners to get the shapes that we want. And if you enjoyed this project, you can do it again. If you'd like to make something different, you could do a different subject for your piece. There are a few materials that you'll need for next week's project. So to give a heads up, you should get a cardboard box. Maybe you got something shipped in the mail and you have a box laying around. Maybe about this size or bigger will help you out for next week's project. And then you'll also want to have some construction paper on hand, some 2D drawing supplies, which could be pencils, pens, markers, crayons, or colored pencils. You'll also want glue and scissors. I hope you can join us again next week, and thank you so much for watching the first video. We're excited that you're going to be joining us along this artistic journey this summer. Thank you! Another great way to practice your drawing skills is through an activity called blind contour drawing. In a blind contour drawing, you look at your subject and then you draw them with either your eyes closed or with great restraint by not looking at your paper at all. This activity helps the artist become very in tune with the movements of their hand while they are drawing. We hope you had fun watching this video, and we hope that you will return with us next week.